All right, so my daughter has a washing machine that quit working, um, and it's up on the third floor of an apartment complex. So I don't want to go up there and bring it down and try to fix it. Or at least I don't want to try to fix it up there. So um, the other day I was driving and found this one on the side of the road, and I decided, you know what, I'll take it home and see if I can fix it. And it's in really dirty shape, but I'm going to clean all this up. And the problem is, a common problem with these, this coupler is bad. So you can see, well, you can't see. You can see that it's broken. So that's the problem. But as I was messing around with this, I noticed that the drum wouldn't turn freely, or I should say the agitator wouldn't turn freely, and so I was concerned about that. So I decided to take it all the way apart, and as far as I can tell, the transmission is actually good. The dogs for the agitator are shot. Those need to be replaced. And looks like this lower seal is okay, but this one here looks like it probably needs to be replaced, this upper seal. So I'm going to see if I can find that. Also going to replace the water pump. Don't know if it's good or bad, but they're cheap, so I'm going to replace that. Normally they start leaking at the top, is my understanding. The drum, it has soap scum. That's soap scum. It's not rust. I'm not sure what that's made out of, but it doesn't seem like. Well, I guess it could be rust. No, that's soap scum. I should be able to scrape all that off, I would think. That must be something that doesn't rust, some sort of metal. But the inside looks pretty good. It's actually pretty clean on the inside of the drum, but the outside's nasty. So, I mean, you can see I'm just scraping off stuff. But don't know if I'll ever get this working. Right now I'm into it for about $35. The pump and the coupler was like 15 bucks, and I had to buy a tool to remove the drum. So there's the tool I bought, and that was about 20 bucks, I guess. So 35 bucks, less than $35. But these old units are great. I mean, if you can fix them, they clean better than a modern machine, and they last longer. So if I replace everything, you know, to where it's like new condition, all the mechanics of it, then this should last for years. But only need it to last 1 year. She's only going to be in that apartment one more year, and then she's going to grad school, and won't be in that apartment anymore. And I doubt if she'll be taking a washing machine with her. Anyway, this is my current project. So I'm currently looking at the dogs that are inside the agitator, and these are all broken. They're supposed to have a little tail, and they're supposed to slide in here and kind of pivot in there. And you can see the other piece of the dog is inside that hole. So all of these are broke. I'm gonna have to order some new ones. It's supposed to sit something like that, and it's supposed to rotate. The tail of it's supposed to go in that little slot, and it's supposed to rotate on that. But I've already cleaned on this some. It's cleaning up pretty good. I'm going to clean on it some more. Buy some new dogs. Clean up this clip. I don't think I need to replace these major pieces. I think they're all going to be okay after I clean them up. But this is the retaining ring that goes over this and keeps the dogs from moving out of the way, from moving. But so this machine has lots of problems. Fortunately, this is not an expensive one. Alright, so I've got the new dogs to install. See how these have the tail to them. The other ones, the tail was completely gone, and they were really eroded badly. Hard to say how old this machine is, but it looks like it's pretty old. So these guys need to be inserted into this housing, I guess is what it's called. And they go like that, I suppose. Not sure, I've never done this before. Going to install those, and I think they go like that because they have to be able to move, because if you stick it in wrong, if you stick it like that, then it doesn't move as much. So it's got to go like that, so a lot more movement. Now, this black ring needs to go on here, and you'll notice that I've cleaned this up. This was really dirty before I started. So that gets pushed on there. Okay. And not sure about this. Does it go like that? I don't know. I'll have to find out how that goes. One way or the other. So, anyway, one step closer. Alright, so I'm going to start putting this washing machine back together. Some stuff that I did to it while it was apart. I cleaned up all the soap scum, the heavy soap scum buildup that I could. Used a wire brush on a wire wheel on a drill to clean up the majority of it. So inside here I used a wire wheel with a brush and I just scraped it off, and it's looking pretty good now. The seals here, probably would be wise to replace them, but I don't have them, so I'm going to use some of this flex tape type stuff and wrap it around this lower and upper seal. This seal here I have to assume is good. If not, this one's easier to replace than those two. So if this one is bad, then I'll be able to take it apart easy enough and replace that easy enough. But that's the plan. I'm going to put the flex tape along this lower seal, the tub seal, and then this upper tube seal, or lower tube seal if you consider that the one, the upper tube seal. So this seal and that seal I'm going to wrap. Just a vain effort to try to keep it from leaking. If it's leaking, don't know. Haven't tested it. So everything's out, the motor's out, the transmission's out. So I'm going to start putting it back together now. So here's the transmission. It tested good, so I think we're good to go. So I just put the flex tape around those seals like I was saying, and that's what it looks like. Not pretty, but I think it will be effective. Only concern is, will the drum, when it spins and moves, will it get caught up on that tape or anything? I don't think so. I think there's enough clearance, but we shall find out. This is a great experiment. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but we'll find out. All right, so I've never actually done this before. This is my first washing machine that I've tried to repair, but it seems to me I need to grease this shaft. So I'm sure there's special water protective grease or something that they put on this, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to use molybdenum wheel bearing grease that I use like on my cars. So I've coated it all the way up, and I put a little bit inside the where the bushing starts, where you push it in there. There's a bushing. I applied some grease there too. So hopefully I'm doing the right thing, but that's what we're doing. Right, so we have the shaft and transmission installed. Not liking the looks of that seal, but we're just gonna have to go for it. Hopefully it holds up. So next step is to put this on and the drum. So that goes like that. Drum goes on that. Then the nut goes on that. All right. So the locking nut, drum nut, whatever you want to call it, is in there. And you have to have a tool, which I didn't show. There's plenty of pictures on YouTube, videos of that. But basically you have to put on there and tap it down a little bit with a hammer. Snug it up. I don't think you want to over tighten it though. So there's where we are. The drum is in. All right, well, I've decided I better do a leak test on this before I put it together. So I'm covering that hole with a little piece of duct tape. Not with that waterproof tape, because that stuff is tough to get off once it's stuck. So I'm going to try a piece of duct tape first. If that doesn't work, then I'll probably have to go the other route. But I'm going to fill this up with water and see if those seals are leaking. All right, so I've got the water above the seal. And the duct tape is barely holding. It looks like it's under strain. But this should be good enough to see if I'm leaking. That leak there is from the duct tape. I would see water dripping out of that clutch, those weep holes, if it was leaking. If it is leaking and it's not bad, it hasn't been there long enough. I'll let it sit for, let's let it sit for an hour. If there's no leaks by then, I guess we're good. I doubt if the duct tape will hold that long, but we'll give it a shot. All right, so I let the water stay in the drum for as long as the tape held. It held for about 45 minutes. Never saw any leaks dripping through the weep holes of the clutch, so I'm putting it back together. So got the inner drum in, and I've got the nut on there, and I'm going to use my tool and a hammer to tighten that down real good, and we will continue. I just wanted to comment on this. This is the inlet platform, or whatever the hell it's called. This is where the water flows through, and it was extremely nasty inside this, but I realized that it could be separated. It just snaps together. So I took it apart and cleaned it up pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. It was really filthy. So these two halves just fit together like that, and it just snaps together. If I can do it. There we go. All right, all back together. So I snapped it back together. That's what it looks like assembled. I say, though, I warn that if you have one of these and it's very old, could be brittle, so when you unsnap it, it might break. But mine came apart with no problems. So this mounts back here in the wall, and put the top in first. Well, I can't do this with one hand, but it goes like that, and then this hose goes on that I'm going to call it nipple, I guess. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's going to go like that. Alrighty then, the next thing we need to do is install the motor and the water pump. So I've got a new coupler to hook up the motor to the transmission, and a new water pump because the old one is probably leaking because it's got rusty looking shit there where the shaft goes to it, and it was rusty, so that means water was getting to it. So I'm going to replace the water pump and the motor coupler and the motor. Well, I'm not replacing the motor, I'm reinstalling the motor. So the new half coupler that goes on the transmission has been installed. Had a little trouble getting it on there, it was too tight. So I took a 9/16 socket and an extension, and I put it on there, and I used a hammer to tap it down. So it's on there. I might have gone a little too far with it. If so, then I'll need to come off with it with a screwdriver from behind. It'll probably be okay though. Before installing the motor, I cleaned up as much dirt and crap off of it as I could, and put some oil, some like sewing machine oil, down on both sides, both shafts, both sides of this motor has a shaft coming out of it, and I just dropped a few drops of oil down in there and worked it, and that seems to actually, I think the motor's turning a lot smoother now. Don't know if that's a recommended idea or not, but I went ahead and did it. What the hell? So maybe sewing machine oil isn't heavy enough oil, but it's all I had on hand. Maybe motor oil would be better, not sure. But so anyway, this motor's ready to go back in. I took my my wire wheel on my drill and cleaned up all the rust off of both of these so that I have a clean surface to install the new coupler end. So we got the motor in. Just want to comment that it has to be installed in the same orientation it was removed so that you can install the clips. If you're off 90 degrees or 180 degrees even, first of all, the clips won't line up if it's 90 degrees off, and if it's 180 degrees off, then the connection for the wiring doesn't work out. So put it back in the same direction. On my model, they have the screw retainers for the clips. On some models it doesn't. It just snaps in, and that's all you got. Okay, so now I'm installing the new water pump. Basically, it just slides on top, and you want the inlet and outlet pointing towards the hoses. Okay, so it just slides on. You want to make sure that your feet go into the indentions that are there on the motor for it. The clips just go into the slot you put in, and you twist it, then you push it on. Snaps on, snaps on. So now all I got to do is hook the hoses up, and that part will be done. Alright, with the hoses installed, we are pretty much done. Don't forget to plug in the motor though, otherwise you'll be turning it over and doing that. So we'll be putting it upright and putting the skin back on it, and putting the control panel and the rest, and then we'll be testing. Alright, so I've installed the, the agitator, and I'm going to put the bolt in. I'm going to use a extension magnet just to drop it down the hole and turn it. Alright, and then I can pull that out, and that's going to be an 11mm socket with a long extension to tighten that up. This hasn't been secured yet, the ring, drum ring, so I'll be doing that probably next. Well, I have the skin back on it. I'm about to put the control panel on it, and then I'm going to test it. Maybe do a little bit of external cleanup on it. But we're almost done. Wonder if it's going to work.